You noticed it before you could name it. The room got quieter than usual. People who used to check in stopped. And you started asking the question almost everyone is too afraid to ask out loud. What is wrong with me? Carl Jung would have told you, wrong question. Jung spent his life studying a moment most people run from. The moment the crowd disappears and you're left with only yourself. He didn't call it a punishment. He called it individuation. The process by which a person stops living as a copy of everyone else's expectations and becomes someone real. Here's the part almost no one tells you. That process has one condition. It requires silence. Not forever. Not total isolation. But enough quiet for long enough that you finally hear yourself without an audience. Most people never get that condition because their lives never go quiet enough to force it. Yours did. This isn't just psychology, it's biology too. When the outside noise drops, no performing, no managing other people's reactions. Your brain leans into what neuroscientists call the default mode network, the system tied to self-reflection, memory, and identity processing. Now, it's not that this network only turns on when you're alone. It activates anytime your mind stops chasing an external task and turns inward, daydreaming on a train, lying awake at 2 a.m., walking with no destination. Even in a crowd, it can flicker on for a second. But here's the reversal. The version of you that's constantly performing, managing reactions, scanning the room for approval, rarely lets the mind sit still long enough to get there. So silence doesn't manufacture this state. It just removes what was standing in front of it. So when you say, "I feel like I'm falling apart," here's the more accurate sentence. You are being reorganized. You called it losing yourself. It was closer to finding out who was underneath the performance. None of this means the hurt isn't real. Being left, ignored, forgotten. That pain is legitimate. Jung never asked people to pretend it doesn't hurt. He asked them to stop mistaking the pain for proof of their worthlessness. Grief and growth can happen at the same time. You're allowed to miss people and still be changing into someone steadier than you were with them. You thought the sadness meant the growth had stopped. It didn't. It meant the growth was finally touching something real. That's not weakness. That's just what being human, honestly, looks like. Here's Jung's real argument, stripped of the poetry. A person who has never been alone with themselves borrows their identity from whoever's in the room. Their opinions shift with the crowd. Their sense of worth rises and falls with someone else's approval. A person who has sat in the silence, who has met themselves without an audience, carries something the crowd can't take away, because it was never given by the crowd in the first place. That's not isolation as a lifestyle. It's isolation as a phase, one that ends the moment you've actually built something solid inside it. And when it ends, the people who do stay matter more, not less. So if you're in that room right now, the quiet one, the one that feels like proof you failed, consider the other possibility. You called it the moment everyone left. It might be the moment you finally arrived. You're not being abandoned. You're being rebuilt. And no one can do that part for you. Not because help is dangerous. Real support matters. And reaching out when it's heavy is not weakness. But because this specific work, the work of meeting yourself, only happens when no one else is in the room to meet instead. Jung didn't ask you to be alone forever. He asked you to stop being afraid of what alone was trying to teach you. If this gave you a different way to see your own silence, subscribe. There's more of this coming. And if you're in that room tonight, you're not behind. You're mid-process.